Right now at 5, the city of Fort Scott is having some water woes. Plus, we have the latest update on the raid that took place in Marion, Kansas.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning, 4 states, and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. The time now is 5 a.m. I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy. A jury convicts a man on charges related to his escape from custody in Newton County, Missouri. Michael Ray Durrison had been held on a warrant out of Louisiana. Authorities say during his stay at a hospital in Newton County in September of 2022, Durrison disarmed the lone jail staffer, used the jailer's own taser to stun the jailer, and subsequently fled the scene. Durrison was later found after a 10-day manhunt. He's now found guilty of assault in the first degree, armed criminal action, and disarming a police officer. He'll be sentenced on October 4th. A convicted rapist who authorities say used a jet ski during an escape from an Arkansas prison has been arrested in West Virginia. The U.S. Marshals Service says Samuel Hartman was taken into custody yesterday, along with his wife, his mother, and his mother's boyfriend at a Lewisburg hotel. Authorities say the woman aiding Hartman's escape August 2022. Hartman was on a work detail when a pickup truck approached and he ran to the vehicle. Hartman and the women later jumped on jet skis and apparently crossed the Mississippi River. Hartman had been sentenced to life in prison in 2013 for a rape conviction out of Franklin County, Arkansas. A Missouri Republican wants exceptions to the state's near-total abortion ban. Jamie Corley of St. Louis filed constitutional amendments to allow abortions in cases of rape, incest, and fatal fetal abnormalities. Another option would allow abortions until fetal viability, though it's unclear when a fetus would be considered viable under the proposal. Currently, Missouri bans almost all abortions. The only exception is for medical emergencies. And a judge orders Kansas authorities to destroy all the electronic copies they made of a small newspaper's files when police raided its office this month. The order comes nearly 2 weeks after computers and cell phones seized in the search were returned. It's still not clear what action local authorities might take in response to the much criticized August 11th raids of the Marion County Records Office and the homes of the publisher and a city council member. The city of Fort Scott, Kansas is taking steps to address a water shortage. A water warning plan went into effect in Fort Scott. According to city officials, the plan is meant to address the water shortage through a series of stages. The city is currently only in stage 1 of this plan, meaning the city's storage has been fallen below 70% capacity and will take longer than normal to recover. The goal within stage 1 is to reduce peak demand by 20% and reduce overall weekly consumption by 10%. The city pointed out that Cedar Creek is in good supply, but Rock Creek is running dry. However, if the city is forced to start taking water from Lake Fort Scott, water warning stage 2 will begin bringing on further restrictions. The city is currently taking measures, including closely monitoring water supplies, repairing leaks within 24 hours of detection, curtailing of city activities such as hydrant flushing, street cleaning, fountain operations, watering of grounds, and vehicle washing. The city has asked residents to make efficient use of indoor water and restrict outdoor water use to before 10 a.m. and after 9 p.m. Residents have also been asked to limit non-essential water usage, such as washing vehicles and filling swimming pools. Officials finished their statement with, quote, "We are in a drought situation that must be taken seriously, and the city of Fort Scott will do whatever possible to maintain good levels of water for the citizens. Please help us by following the restrictions that have been imposed," end quote. City officials have encouraged anyone with questions to reach out. And that's a look at the stories from this morning and weather. And now coming up on the KOAM Morning News, MSSU prepares for its first game of the season. We'll have more details in sports. Plus, how voice assistants aren't super helpful when it comes to CPR. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back. All week long, Missouri Southern football has been focused on its one thing, its season opener with number 6 team in the county Northwest Missouri State. MSSU Royal yesterday afternoon got a warm up for today's game. during lunch and recess at Royal Heights Elementary School. Several Lion players made the visit to hand out free tickets to the game and get to meet some of the local kids that'll be cheering them on all season. And they say it's great to notice the interest the Joplin community has in the program.
When I first got here, the community wasn't too big with Southern, but I actually seen them now growing and progressing to come to Missouri Southern games. And actually I see small restaurants saying we're closed on Saturdays because we're going to the game. And I was like, that shows how close the community is coming together.
The last week has just been so focused on the game, and it's a big game. We're playing a good team, so it's nice to just get your mind off that a little bit and just to go have some fun. I'm from Houston, Texas, a long way away from here, so coming out here, I didn't know much about the area, but it's awesome just to see them getting involved and that they do care about us, because that means a lot to us, and just having people support us, it's a big deal for us, so just knowing that people are behind you definitely makes a difference.
Elsewhere, Missouri Southern golfer Traydon McCray has racked up a couple of All-American awards this week. He gets named to the Black College Golf Coaches Association All-American team. He's just one of 10 golfers in the country to receive this honor. This comes after McCray being honored as a GCAA All-America Scholar and named MIAA Golder of the Year this past spring. And we're 1 week into the high school football seasons in Missouri and Oklahoma. Kansas schools get started tomorrow, and one of those is in the Field Kinley Golden Tornado. Field Kinley is preparing for the season opening game on Friday on the road at Mulvane. The team dealt with some injuries in the early portions of last season. Even so, 2022 was successful for the Golden Tornado, their first winning season in 5 years. And they're hoping to take the next step forward as a program in 2023.
That's our first goal, is just beat Mulvane and then some long-term. So we just want to win the league. We feel like it's kind of up for taking this year, and we think we got just as good a chance as everybody else in the league, and we want to play every Friday night and then go win that bad boy.
During practice, we've been doing good, going full speed. We just not starting to hit today, and it's just been good overall.
But yeah, I want to push myself to those expectations to being on a different team and kind of being one of the leaders somewhat. And so I want to be a leader for everybody else and stick to not being complacent.
Still to come, people around the world got to see a blue supermoon. We'll be right back. While studios are starting to change film release dates due to the Hollywood strikes, there are still marquee movies heading to theaters each week in September. Rick DeMiguela reports.
9 seconds.
September at the movies kicks off with Denzel Washington in The Equalizer 3, arriving in theaters tomorrow.
A lot has happened since my big fat Greek wedding.
The Portocalos family are back in My Big Fat Greek Wedding 3. The family reunion begins September 8th.
This demon was once an angel.
The 8th also marks the start of Scary Movie season when The Nun 2 creeps into theaters.
Somebody is dead. No one shall leave this place until I know who did it.
Kenneth Branagh is back in front of and behind the camera in his latest Agatha Christie adaptation, A Haunting in Venice, opening on the 15th.
It's time to get loud.
Things go boom in The Expendables 4. Sylvester Stallone's Squad is back in theaters September 22nd.
I still have a lot of work that needs to be done.
Opening on the 29th is Saw X with Tobin Bell back in the role of the serial killer Jigsaw.
I think we've got superpowers. And that's why I wear a hard hat.
And for more family-friendly fare, the Paw Patrol pups power up when Paw Patrol the Mighty Movie pounces into theaters September 29th. In Hollywood, I'm Rick Damigella.
All right, well, it's so good to see movies finally coming back to the silver screen. Well, when Mississippi lawmakers return to the state capitol in January, a new face will be making history as the first openly gay lawmaker in the state. Fabian Nelson won the Democratic runoff for the House District 66 seat in Hinds County. Courtney and Jackson reports.
People were, well, you don't need to talk about it. I said, no, I'm not. That's not fair for me not to talk about it. I have to let people know up front where I stand on the issues.
Fabian Nelson being an openly gay man wasn't part of his campaign platform, but as he reflects on the history he's making, he knows it's significant.
I think it's vital that we have people that represents every single person in that building. Because until you walk in those shoes, you cannot properly advocate. Until you walk in those shoes, you cannot understand the severity and totality of the issues. And so being a voice and being able to be a voice of reason and saying, hey, come to me, let's talk about it. And you can change people's perspectives when you have those conversations.
And there are many in the LGBTQ plus community celebrating the win with him.
So proud.
You have opened the door for so many of us.
That's Jason McCarty, the first openly gay individual to run for the Mississippi House in 2019.
I think going forward, when someone wants to write a bill or a law to pass against our marginalized community, they have to look Fabian in the face. You know, they have to look at him in the face and still proceed. And so hopefully having him in that building, hopefully having him in those chambers, at the discussion table, they might not be so emboldened anymore.
The Human Rights Campaign is often in the hallways and on the steps of the Capitol, and having Nelson's voice is something they believe will make an impact.
It means a lot to have somebody there in the chamber when they're trying to attack the LGBTQ plus folks. They don't have to think about a group outside that chamber. Somebody is right there.
Nelson doesn't have any general election challengers, so he will be sworn in January.
A lot of changes happening this election season. Well, stick around. We have more news coming up after the break. Topping Health Watch this morning, there still seems to be some truth to the old adage, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. The CDC says most Americans don't eat the recommended amount of fruits and vegetables each day. However, according to a new large-scale study out Tuesday, when healthcare providers prescribe fruits and vegetables to their patients eat about 30% more produce each day. And that could lead to improved chronic health conditions such as obesity, diabetes, and heart disease. Nearly 4,000 participants either had or were at risk of developing heart disease or type 2 diabetes. Your voice assistant might not be a good resource during an emergency requiring CPR. A new study shows only 56% of voice assistant responses to CPR questions give information on cardiopulmonary resuscitation. About a third provide instructions on performing the life-saving technique. The study in JAMA Network Open covers versions of Amazon's Alexa, Apple's Siri, Google's Assistant, and Microsoft's Cortana. Researchers say they asked the assistants 8 questions and 2 ER doctors reviewed the answers. The American Heart Association says nearly 1,000 people a day have a cardiac arrest. And a new study has found marijuana users have more heavy metals in their body compared to the general public. That's because cannabis has a special property that allows the plant to absorb heavy metals from the soil as well as potentially harmful chemicals. While that can be good for cleaning out the environment, it's worrisome for marijuana users. Researchers tested 7,200 people who said they used marijuana in the last 30 days. These individuals had much higher levels of highly toxic substances like cadmium and lead in their blood compared to those non-users. The study's authors say these heavy metals have been linked to cancer, chronic disease, and neurotoxic effects. More than 6 million adults have heart failure in the U.S., according to a 2020 report from the American Heart Association. But early diagnosis and treatment can help those with potentially deadly condition. Mandy Gaither has 11 tips for living with heart failure.
It's a condition where the heart can't pump enough blood and oxygen to support other organs in the body. Heart failure is serious and can have a huge impact on health and quality of life.
Patients just can't function because they can't breathe and they start getting swollen and swollen over time.
Dr. Emmanuel Finette with Cleveland Clinic says there's a broad spectrum of heart failure severity. He says patients first need to know what type of the syndrome they have and learn about it.
It's much easier when we have patients that can have an education, they can understand what is going on and can anticipate issues as well.
Finette says most heart failure patients will be prescribed medications. Consistently taking that medicine on time is critical. He also says to monitor symptoms, watch for changes in body fluid, swelling, or shortness of breath. Monitor weight, blood pressure, and heart rate, and limit sodium.
Ideally, they should stay within 3 grams of sodium, less than 3 grams of sodium, if at all possible.
Finette says maintaining a healthy lifestyle is also key. That means no smoking, staying at a healthy weight, exercising 150 minutes a week, getting adequate sleep, controlling diabetes, maintaining a low blood pressure, and having a healthy, low-fat diet.
Heart failure is a chronic condition. It's rarely cured, but it can be controlled.
The doctor says patients with advanced heart failure who are on a high dose of diuretics and have to be hospitalized often may also be placed on fluid restriction, limiting the volume of what the patient can drink. He says that can help keep them out of the hospital. And roughly 1 in 4 women may develop irregular heart rhythms after menopause, and insomnia and stress are major reasons why. That's according to a new study published Wednesday in the Journal of the American Heart Association. Researchers looked at questionnaire data from more than 83,000 postmenopausal women ages 50 to 79. They found that 10 years later, a quarter of the women developed atrial defibrillation, or FIB. But those who reported having stress or suffering from insomnia had a higher risk of developing AFib. The condition is not life-threatening, but it can increase the risk of heart failure and stroke. The study also says that more research is needed. Doctors pulled a live worm from a woman's brain in Australia. The 64-year-old underwent brain surgery for an abnormality in the right frontal lobe of her brain. That's when a neurosurgeon pulled out the live 3-inch long round worm. The parasite was confirmed to be a roundworm usually found in pythons. Researchers say the patient lived near a lake area inhabited by carpet pythons. They believe she caught the roundworm after foraging the area for a native leafy vegetable, which she cooked and ate. Infectious disease experts say it is the first case to involve the brain of any mammalian species. And a highly mutated coronavirus variant has been detected by 3 surveillance systems in the U.S. However, it accounts for less than 1% of all the circulating COVID-19 viruses in the country. That's according to a risk assessment published Wednesday by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. So far, 24 human infections with the BA.2.86 virus have been reported in 8 countries. There have been 3 infections detected in the U.S. It has also been detected in wastewater in Ohio, Michigan, and New York City. The variant has more than 30 changes to its spike protein, and scientists are currently testing to see if it evades our immunity. And that's a look at some of today's top health stories. We'll be right back after the break. Right now at 5:30, the Newton County Sheriff's Office gains some new equipment to help them out. Plus, the city of Pittsburgh gets ready to celebrate as PSU's first game kicks off tonight.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning, 4 states, and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. The time now is 5:28 a.m. I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy. Warming up for the first football game of the season happening today, Pittsburgh rolled out the red carpet for Paint the Town Red. More than 20 businesses joined the contest in 3 different categories, incorporating this year's theme, Lights, Camera, Gus. Half of the money raised will participate for fees that'll help offer scholarships to 2 Pitt State students who graduated from local high schools. Also joining the show, almost 15 departments and student organizations within the PSU campus.
When our businesses are decorated and people are out and about during the week and they see all the pride of Gorilla Nation throughout, I can imagine it's exciting for our students and our players. It's energizing.
I think they feel like they're home. They see that the university and the community are one and the same, and that they can go off campus and still feel as comfortable as if they were still on the Pitt State campus.
There's still more action to go. You can vote for the community favorite on the Pittsburgh Chamber of Commerce website until noon today. Folks also got into the Gorilla spirit with a downtown block party and pep rally between 4th and 6th Streets. It featured live music from the Pride of the Plains marching band, games, food, and a kids' fun run with Gus, among other activities. The Newton County Sheriff's Office unveiled a new piece of equipment, a Lenco Bearcat tactical vehicle. It'll be used by the Newton County Special Response Team. This new vehicle has a turret, a battering ram, and is heavily armored. It will mostly be used for drug search warrants, hostage situations, and felon arrest warrants.
It will serve all of our purposes well that we do in Newton County. We do probably 12 to 15 situations a year that we need a vehicle like this for, so it was definitely time we upgraded to get what we have here.
The new vehicle costs $287,000. It is being paid for through the Sheriff Department's equipment budget and should be paid off within 2 years. The Alliance of Southwest Missouri has a new space to call home. The new headquarters is at 1901 South Pearl Avenue in Joplin. It covers more than 26,000 square feet. In addition to the building, the property includes a park with playground equipment and a large paved parking lot, 2 features currently lacking from the Alliance's space at 1601 South Wall Avenue.
What I love too is it's not just the Alliance's building. You know, already God's Resort is wanting to utilize the facility, and there'll be other nonprofits that'll have access to this building because we're all about working together to better serve kids and families of Southwest Missouri. And so that's on the docket, is to see who needs access for their programming.
This property includes the former South Joplin Christian Church, which was built in 1916. A beloved Joplin pediatrician is saying goodbye after 45 years. KOAM's Amber Jenkins talked to Dr. Grote about closing this chapter.
Now entering retirement, Dr. Grote reminisces on how his medical career started 45 years ago.
Physicians were not available for pediatricians 45 years ago because most people took kids to family practitioners. And I was offered a number of jobs, but this is the one that I chose on.
Dr. Grote was not expecting to settle down in Joplin, but developing close relationships with patients made him stay.
Old family doctors who actually have relationships with their patients is going to go away. And I enjoy the kids, and a lot of kids I see, one or both of their parents actually came to me as well.
Although the name on the sign may fade, his impact on the community will not, especially when it comes to his balloon skills.
When I was a kid, nobody wanted to go see the doctor because you're going to get shots in the rear end before you left. But a lot of kids actually try to find a reason to come because they want a balloon animal.
A lot of kids, they grow up and they're really scared of the doctor. Like, they just don't want to be there, but I never felt that way coming to his office because he was always understanding. He never made anything scary.
Yeah, a dog and a cat was kind of the regular. Yes. He would draw the face on it to make it look like whatever. Exactly. And if it popped, then he'd start all over. But boy, he was full of hot air. He could blow those things up.
Reporting in Joplin, Amber Jenkins, KOAM News.
Dr. Grote says he's excited to spend retirement gardening and spending more time with his grandkids. The Neosho County, Kansas Health Department held discussions on teen dating violence and its impact on mental health. They brought in award-winning speaker and best-selling author Ashley Benskin to give a presentation on the topic. It was aimed at helping people identify warning signs of abuse and how to prevent it.
There's a super high prevalence of these issues, whether it's adults or children experiencing them. And not only is this a damaging and concerning issue, it also poses lots of other secondary consequences. Struggles in life with one's mental health, one's educational abilities. And so really we're just here to cultivate a conversation around what can we as adults, as first responders, as the community do.
There will be another presentation today from 9:30 a.m. to noon at the Memorial Building in Chanute. The ladies and gentlemen got a start at their engines at the Prairie Mission Nursing Home in St. Paul, Kansas. 2 weeks ago, residents and staff built and painted Pinewood Derby race cars. Yesterday, they got to burn rubber, so to speak. The cars hit the road on a homestead track fashioned from a slip and slide. The competition was real, but was fun in the spirit of good times.
I just want to make them smile. I want to make them feel like they're loved and that people care about them. We've asked some of the elementary school kids to come over today and watch, and I'm thinking that we have the community come in, the kids come in, and show that we care about what they do.
The community turned out with their own hot rods. And that's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. We'll meet a diver who dives for more than just treasure in California. Plus, archaeologists in Jerusalem uncover some mysterious ducks. We'll have the latest. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back, but first, here's a live look from Pittsburgh State University, as today is the first game of the season. Topping World Watch, calls for Spain's football chief to resign over an unwanted kiss are getting louder. Before last night's women's friendly between Club America and Barcelona in Mexico City, members of both teams embraced as they displayed a banner reading, "It's over, you're not alone," along with t-shirts that say, "Jenny, for you, for all of us." The gesture is part of a growing outpour of support for Spanish football player Jenny Hermosa, who Luis Rubiales forcibly kissed upon winning the Women's World Cup earlier this month. The incident sparking global outrage for what many see as sexual assault. Rubiales, who's been temporarily suspended by FIFA, maintains the kiss was mutual. The Organization of the United Nations declared August 30th as the International Day of Victims of Enforced Disappearances. In a country like Mexico, where the disappeared are counted in the thousands, analysts point out that it is difficult to discern who are responsible for the disappearances. And the drama of more than 111,000 missing people in Mexico extends beyond these victims to those who are trying to find them. Most of them are mothers, with some of them being threatened or going missing as well. North Korea claimed it fired 2 ballistic missiles as a warning against Washington's deployment of strategic assets in the region. That's according to North Korean state media on Thursday. The launch comes as the U.S. takes part in joint military exercises with South Korea. And the blue Superman brightens the sky over Pakistan. Stargazers came out to watch it as the blue moon over Karachi on Wednesday. It got its name for being the second full moon in a month, and it's supermoon because it's closer to Earth than usual, making it appear especially big and bright. This supermoon is the closest one of the year, measured just over 222,000 miles away. The first supermoon of the year happened in July, and the final one of the year occurs in September. Trucks loaded with tomatoes drove through the main street, distributing the sappy projectiles while partygoers threw them and covered each other in red juice. The tomatina is said to have originated from a spontaneous bust-up amongst villagers in 1945. It was banned for a while during the 1950s at the height of General Francisco Franco's dictatorship, but survived to gain popularity across Spain in the 1980s and today draws large crowds of visitors from abroad as well as Spaniards. Almost a decade ago, the organizers had to limit the capacity and started selling tickets as the festival was too crowded. And soldiers in Gabon are attempting to overturn the presidential election results. During their coup, the soldiers arrested President Ali Bongo, whose family has held power for over 50 years. After Bongo's win, riots erupted in the streets, and later, uninformed soldiers appeared on state TV announcing they were seizing power. A spokesperson for the coup confirmed Bongo is being held under surveillance in his residence, and they are dissolving all the institutions of the public. Coup leader Brice Luigi Nguema is aiming to become the next head of state. Goats and sheep get the ride of a lifetime on Thursday as they are hoisted to safety in Italy. A sudden rise in water levels trapped the animals in the middle of a flooded stream. Firefighters coming to the rescue, descending from a bridge using special caving equipment. Once they landed, they prepared the animals for transport. They got each of the 13 goats and 2 sheep into harnesses and lifted them to safety using the mobile crane. An almost 3,000-year-old network of canal-like passages has been unearthed in Jerusalem, confusing archaeologists. The knee-deep channels are located outside Jerusalem's walled Old City. They stand in 2 clusters, which were discovered 30 feet apart. From forensic testing of the channels found no blood, ruling out a role in animal slaughter for banquets or religious sacrifice. The ducts also do not appear to have engineered a flow in a single direction, suggesting they were not used to sort out sewage or rainfall. Archaeologists do not have an explanation for this discovery yet. And that's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. We'll be right back. This next story is about a wartime necessity in South Minneapolis in 1943. Susan Elizabeth Littlefield takes us to the tucked-away place that's a bit of a secret garden.
Well, you got zinnias over here, which are really beautiful.
In Dowling Community Garden, there's a lot to see and a lot to taste.
Sweet potatoes, of course, tomatoes, husk cherries.
Craig Haverman can identify just about anything in this 20-acre plot. Gardening is in his blood.
What are your first memories of gardening?
I would have to say it would be my grandma Ann at her garden, because it was It was just lush and it had all the things I like.
He gets to relive his own history in this very historical place.
I get goosebumps thinking about 80 years that this has been here, and hopefully it continues for another 80 years.
The garden started in 1943 as a victory garden. There were about 20 million of them in the U.S. Local gardening was encouraged so that people wouldn't run out of food while so many Americans were away at war.
Well, a lot of people in this area, grew up on farms, and so they jumped at the chance to have these huge chunks of land that they could grow their vegetables on.
And they are still jumping at a chance to be here. The Longfellow neighborhood green space is still thriving. People rent plots, and there are over 250 gardeners tending to the land, including Craig, who lives close by.
The word community, does this place bring people together?
Oh my goodness, you would not believe it. People love to walk their dogs, bring their kids over to play. People love to just stroll through the garden, just to look at the beautiful flowers.
It's withstood the threats of redevelopment, pollution, and time.
What is your hope that really comes from this place?
My hope is that, people can find a little solitude, peacefulness. Just sitting here, I feel so peaceful,
Me too.
I love seeing that, the whole community coming together to maintain that garden and keep it going. Well, the BTK killer is an infamous serial killer that terrorized the people of Kansas from 1974 to 1991. Now he's been linked to more killings in not only Kansas, but Oklahoma as well. Sean Logan has a story.
Timelines and different notations on different things that made us feel like we needed to get a hold of those departments, share that information.
A piece of that information Sheriff Eddie Verdon says he found going through the old notes links Dennis Rader to the disappearance of 16-year-old Cynthia Kinney in Pawhuska, Oklahoma. Other notation, Sheriff Verdon says, leads to other cold cases, including a disappearance nearly 40 years ago.
We believe he could have been involved with one up in Hays, Kansas.
October 21st, 1983, Mary Lang, who was 31 at the time, was last seen in the afternoon while on an errand for the law office where she worked as a secretary. Her car was found with the door partially open and her purse and other items inside. 5 days later, investigators found her coat and keys in a box under a bridge north of Hays. When 12 News reported on this case in 2009, authorities had said previously there was a person of interest that wasn't Dennis Rader.
There was some family in that area that they spent some time out there, as well as work things that took him out there.
Sheriff Verdon says the notes also make reference to the cold case of Shauna Garber, who was raped and murdered in 1990 in McDonald County, Missouri. The AP reports that the McDonald County Sheriff says that Rader has denied involvement.
Notations of an item taken that was not on the person that would match. There was another one. Several clues there, nothing solid.
I sure hope that they find some answers for those women's families. Well, stick around because we have more news coming up after this. But first, here's a live look from Pittsburgh State University today. It's their first football game of the season. A California scuba diver has gained a reputation for finding valuable items that people have lost while boating, swimming, or engaging in other water sports. Donna Backus introduces us to Merman Mike, who is digging up more than treasure.
Welcome to the treasure room.
If one man's trash is considered another man's treasure,
So this is basically where I bring anything and everything I don't deem as trash.
then Michael Pelly is a rich man.
I tell people that I'm a diver first and a treasure hunter.
The diver explores the bottoms of rivers and lakes,
Found a little thing of Crown Royal.
sifting through trash to find valuables people left behind.
It started out with me just going out there and looking for anything and everything.
A fascination that has turned into purpose.
I also wanted to be able to return something if I did find it and I could return it.
That's her. Thank you.
And so I realized, one, I was going to have some way to get my name out there.
He decided on the name Merman Mike, and he now takes thousands of social media followers on his dive missions.
Stay tuned.
Recently, he was asked to search for a woman's wedding ring that slipped off her finger while she was at Bass Lake near Yosemite National Park. It was his deepest dive yet.
I found a couple cans, I found bottle tops, I found pull tabs, I found pretty much anything and everything besides the ring.
After nearly 3 hours of digging,
you could see me looking at it for a second before I realized what it was. And then I just absolutely blew up with excitement. It's always the moment I'm looking for the most, especially if there's doubts.
Merman Mike says he doesn't charge to find items.
I tell everybody that I'm just happy to help. Anytime my head goes underwater, I'm a happy camper.
And for him, moments like these are priceless.
Thank you.
Danya Backus, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Oh, I'm so happy.
Merman Mike also helps to clean the lakes and rivers he searches. He says you can't just go for the treasure, you also have to pick up the trash. You can find Merman Mike on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and his YouTube channel. We'll be right back. It's not a world record, but this sunflower in New York is still getting a lot of attention. Michelle Bush's neighbors are fascinated by the 13-foot tall bloom behind her apartment. Bush has been growing the bright yellow flowers for years and plants seeds cultivated from the previous year's flowers. This sunflower is the tallest she has ever grown, but it would need another 17 feet to beat the world record. Maybe next year. And a bull terrier is back home where he belongs after more than 2 years of being lost. Panda was recently found by workers at an animal shelter in Topeka, Kansas. Turns out he was 500 miles from home. The shelter was able to find Panda's owner through his microchip. They say the 7-year-old left their house one day with their other dog, Nala, but only Nala returned home. The family has had no idea where Panda was this whole time or even how he got to Kansas. And while he was skittish with the shelter workers, once Panda sniffed his family, he brightened right up. And the first giant panda cub in the history of Russia was born at the Moscow Zoo. This is a unique event both for the country and for the entire global environmental community. This case is a unique one because Ruyi and Ding Ding are young and they are 7 and 6 years old. Typically, the first cub is born when the parents reach the age of 8 to 10 years old. Getting offspring of pandas is very difficult, and the birth of cubs is both a great success and the result of a lot of work of specialists. Using their noses to sniff out bones up to 3,000 years old, specially trained dogs are helping German archaeologists unearth treasures at ancient excavation sites. Last Saturday, the elite K9 team was called to help an archaeologist at a dig site near Munich, Bavaria. The area was inhabited during the Iron Age and early Celtic period. On top of a settlement from those times, there is also an ancient Roman road running through the site. One by one, the dogs, under the guidance of their owners, are let free to sniff through the site, looking for the scent of bone remains signifying potential burial sites. And we'll be right back after this. Right now at 6, a southeast Kansas community unveils a plan to deal with a water shortage.
And temperatures are going to be on the rise as we go into the weekend. We'll have the details.
Plus, Pittsburgh is going red as the town prepares for the Pitt State's first game of the season.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
KOAM Morning News. The time is now 6 a.m. I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy.
And I'm meteorologist Sam Lane, filling in for the not feeling so well Chris Warner this morning.
Thank you. You came through.
We're here. Let's take a look at the temperatures this morning. And you can see over the last 36 hours, it's been cool in the mornings, but then in the afternoons, because of all the dry air, it allows the temperature to really rise in the afternoon into the upper 80s to around 90 degrees. And as we go into the weekend, that's what's going to continue. But this morning, very nice out there. Temperatures in the upper 50s in Stockton with 59, 60 in Greenfield, lower 60s elsewhere, 65 in Coffeyville for one of the warmest readings. But it's going to be warming up this afternoon. Satellite view shows this is the remnants of Idalia now moving off the coast of the Carolinas. This is Franklin, so there's a little bit of a Fujiwara effect going on with those two systems right now. We're also watching an upper level low off the Texas Gulf Coast that's going to have an impact on our weather as we head towards the weekend just a little bit. Looking down the lane, we're going to have some warm afternoons, increasing humidity unfortunately, and also low rain chances. And unfortunately also the heat wave is going to be returning, and I'll have all the details on that in just a little bit. Caitlin?
Thanks, Sam. A jury convicts a man on charges related to his escape from custody in Newton County, Missouri. Michael Ray Durrison had been held on a warrant out of Louisiana, authorities say. During his stay at a hospital in Newton County in September of 2022, Durrison disarmed the lone jail staffer, used the jailer's own taser to stun the jailer, and subsequently fled the scene. Durrison was later found after a 10-day manhunt. He's now found guilty of assault in the first degree, armed criminal action, and disarming a police officer. He'll be sentenced on October 4th. A convicted rapist who authorities say used a jet ski during an escape from an Arkansas prison has been arrested in West Virginia. The U.S. Marshals Service says Samuel Hartman was taken into custody yesterday, along with his wife, his mother, and his mother's boyfriend at a Lewisburg hotel. Authorities say the women aiding Hartman's escape in August of 2022. Hartman was on a work detail when a pickup truck approached and he ran to the vehicle. Hartman and the women later jumped on jet skis and apparently crossed the Mississippi River. Hartman had been sentenced to life in prison in 2013 for a rape conviction out of Franklin County, Arkansas. A Missouri Republican wants exceptions to the state's near-total abortion ban. Jamie Corley of St. Louis filed constitutional amendments to allow abortions in cases of rape, incest, and fatal fetal abnormalities. Another option would be to allow abortions until fetal viability, though it's unclear when a fetus would be considered viable under the proposal. Currently, Missouri bans almost all abortions. The only exception is for medical emergencies. And a judge orders Kansas authorities to destroy all the electronic copies they made of a small newspaper's files when police raided its office this month. The order comes at nearly 2 weeks after computers and cell phones seized in the search were returned. It's still not clear what action local authorities might take in response to the much criticized August 11th raids of Marion County Records office and the homes of its publisher and a city council member. The city of Fort Scott, Kansas is taking steps to address a water shortage. A water warning plan went into effect in Fort Scott, and according to city officials, the plan is meant to address the water shortage through a series of stages. The city is currently only in stage 1 of this plan, meaning the city storage has fallen below 70% capacity and will take longer than normal to recover. The goal within stage 1 is to reduce peak demand by 20% and reduce overall weekly consumption by 10%. The city pointed out that Cedar Creek is in good supply, but Rock Creek is running dry. However, if the city is forced to start taking water from Fort Lake Scott, water warning stage 2 will begin, bringing on further restrictions. The city it's currently taking measures include closely monitoring water supplies, repairing leaks within 24 hours of detection, curtailing of city activities such as hydrant flushing, street cleaning, fountain operations, watering of grounds, and vehicle washing. The city has asked residents to make efficient use of indoor water and restrict outdoor water use to before 10 a.m. and after 9 p.m. Residents have also been asked to limit non-essential water usage, such as washing vehicles and filling swimming pools. Officials finished their statement with, quote, "We are in a drought situation that must be taken seriously, and the city of Fort Scott will do whatever possible to maintain good levels of water for the citizens. Please help us by following the restrictions that have been imposed," end quote. City officials have encouraged anyone with questions to reach out. And to be the first to see breaking news, weather, and sports, download the KOAM News app. It's available free of charge in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. Just search for the KOAM News app. Warming up for the first football game of the season happening today, Pittsburgh hosted Paint the Town Red yesterday. KOAM's Fernanda Silva has a story.
Just a couple of weeks ago, with the release of the movie Barbie, the trend was wearing pink. Now, everybody is wearing red, at least in Pittsburgh.
It's just it's current with the film and everything. We thought it would be fun, and since our theme for Paint the Town Red was Lights, Camera, Gus, we thought it was a good partnership together.
GNB Bank, where Bryce Anderson's the vice president, is one of the more than 20 businesses that joined the contest. Half of the money raised with the participation fee will offer scholarships to 2 Pitt State students who graduated from local high schools. The real estate agency where Don Arender works also joined the celebration. While they displayed their pride all year long in their business decoration inside, Don's Heritage Realtors put some colors out for Paint the Town Red.
Local community and Pittsburgh State are intimately intertwined. The success of the university and the success of the business community are tied together.
Pitt State's red runs in Don's family's blood. He, his dad, his wife, and one of his kids graduated from the university. 2 of his daughters are current students there. For Don, painting the city red means belonging.
I think they feel like they're home. They see that the university and the community are one and the same, and that they can go off campus and still feel as comfortable as if they were still on the Pitt State campus.
When our businesses are decorated and people are out and about during the week and they see all the pride of Gorilla Nation throughout, I can imagine it's exciting for our students and our players. It's energizing.
Not only local business, but also some organizations within campus rolled out the red carpet for some school spirit.
And we have some community judges who come to our campus and judge those, as well as some student organizations who participate. So not only is Paint the Town Red active in our downtown businesses and across our town, but also here on campus.
With an old tradition, Pittsburgh is ready for another opening night of the football season. In Pittsburgh, Fernanda Silva, KOAM News.
There's still more action to go. You can vote for the community favorite on the Pittsburgh Chamber of Commerce website until noon today. Folks also got into the guerrilla spirit with a downtown block party and pep rally between 4th and 6th Streets. It featured live music from the Pride of the Plains Marching Band, games, food, and a kids' fun run, among other activities. And that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News. Tropical storm Dahlia is now moving through the Carolinas after tearing across Florida and part of Georgia yesterday. Plus, how millions of salaried workers would get overtime pay under a proposed rule by the Biden administration. And meteorologist Sam Lane returns with another look at your Thursday forecast. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back, but first, here's a live look from Pittsburgh State University, as today is their first game of the season. Topping Nation Watch this morning, Burger King is one step closer to having to defend its signature Whopper in court. A federal judge refused to dismiss part of a lawsuit against the restaurant that claims it misrepresents the size of its food. The class action suit alleges BK uses photos of the Whopper in ads and on its menu boards that make it look much larger than it actually is. Burger King asked the judge to dismiss the suit, saying no reasonable person thinks fast food looks like the advertisements in real life. Last week, Judge Roy Altman said only a jury made up of typical customers could make that determination. Burger King also argues it clearly states the Whopper contains a quarter pound of beef. McDonald's, Wendy's, and Taco Bell have all faced similar lawsuits in recent months. And millions of salaried workers would get overtime pay under a proposed rule by the Biden administration. The rule was unveiled by the U.S. Department of Labor Wednesday. It would guarantee overtime pay of at least time and a half pay for salaried workers earning about $55,000 a year. The current threshold is about $35,000 a year. According to the agency, the proposed rule would make 3.6 million salaried workers eligible for overtime pay. Business groups blocked a similar effort under former President Barack Obama in 2016, when he wanted to raise the threshold to about $47,000 a year. The current threshold was put in place by the Trump administration in 2019. And lawyers for the Mar-a-Lago property manager charged in the classified documents case say prosecutors are overplaying a potential conflict of interest. Carlos de la Vera is charged alongside former President Donald Trump. Earlier this month, prosecutors told the judge one of the Oliveira's attorneys, John Irving, was representing 3 possible witnesses in the case. The new filing from De La Oliveira's legal team said Irving no longer represents those 3 people. De Oliveira's lawyers said Irving is unaware of any confidential information he received from the 3 that could be used during cross-examination. They added if there was such information, then a recently hired co-counsel could do the questioning. The defense lawyers also said they would not oppose the judge conducting a hearing with De Oliveira to make sure his constitutional rights to counsel are protected, but only if it is done in secret and without prosecutors involved. And Tropical Storm Idalia is now moving through the Carolinas after tearing across Florida and part of Georgia yesterday. Residents of some small coastal towns have returned to ruins, though others consider themselves lucky to find their homes still standing. 1 person in Georgia died and 2 traffic deaths in Florida are being investigated as possibly storm-related. CBS News' Christian Benavides is in Cedar Key, Florida, with the latest on Idalia and the first-hand look at the destruction it has already left behind.
Overnight, a weaker Idalia moved over the Carolinas, bringing heavy rain and storm surge flooding.
A lot of wind, a lot of rain, nothing too crazy, nothing what we really expected.
A similar scene in southern Georgia, where the storm's strong winds toppled this basketball net and snapped off tree limbs.
Unbelievable.
But in Florida, where Idalia first came ashore as a powerful Category 3 storm, there's a trail of destruction in coastal towns like Horseshoe Beach.
You want to live on the water, you gotta put up with it, you know?
This video captures the moment the historic storm surge demolished the home. Residents there are now surveying the damage.
What matters is what I'm holding right here, okay?
Cleanup efforts are underway around the state, including in Cedar Key. Here's where part of a motel used to stand. It's been wiped out. In Hernando and Citrus counties, first responders and the National Guard rescued stranded residents.
I lose everything, including my car.
The response has been swift and people are getting help.
As residents come to grips with the aftermath, crews continue to work to clear debris and restore power to tens of thousands of homes. Christian Benavides, CBS News, Cedar Key, Florida.
The threat from Idalia is not over. Authorities in North Carolina this morning cautioned residents of life-threatening flash flooding. And that's a look at some of today's top national stories. Now here's Sam with a look at your forecast.
All right, thank you very much. Yeah, we've been watching Idalia. The remnants are now moving off on the outer banks of North Carolina this morning, rapidly pulling off towards the east. Here's Franklin moving out in the central Atlantic near Bermuda. Those 2 systems are moving away from the United States, so that's pretty good news. We're left with some dry air across our area. In fact, taking a look outside right now, it's looking pretty nice there in Seneca, Missouri. The UV index today is going to be on the high side, 8 on the scale. It's about 20 to 25 minutes of burn time, so making sure that you are taking the precautions. And the allergies, they're now starting to pick up as well. Today, 11 on the scale, most of that ragweed, chenopod, and nettle, and tomorrow, just a little bit worse. We'll have more details on the forecast coming up in just a little.
A struggling mother got an unexpected surprise from her co-workers in a video that has gotten millions of views on TikTok. The office threw her a baby shower with gifts donated by strangers from an online registry. Cameron Polum has more on how the Arizona mother is paying it forward.
Amidst the hum of office tasks in a now viral video, Erica Perez overcome with emotion as colleagues gathered for a surprise baby shower, celebrating a missed rite of passage for the soon-to-be mother of 4.
We went on lunch one day and she was telling me, you know, she hadn't had a baby shower, and I was telling her, she was asking me have I ever had one, and I was saying yeah.
With Erica due in a matter of weeks, Marshayla Troop and her co-workers decided to give her one at work. Marshayla recorded this sweet moment and posted it on TikTok.
I posted it, and within 1 hour it just went crazy. It went viral.
Racking up millions of views, thousands of people all over the nation wanted to be a part of the giving. Marshayla secretly setting up a registry on Amazon, revealing all that had taken place just a few days later when she rolled in a cart full of packages.
I set you up a registry, and I put you everything on the registry, 170 items, and out of those items, 106 people have donated, and it's coming. They gave me the gifts, and I couldn't even open it because I felt so overwhelmed. So we had about maybe 4 or 5 baby showers.
For Erica and her family, the help couldn't have come at a better time. The pregnancy was unexpected, only discovered after a recent surgery. The medical costs already putting them on a tight budget.
We weren't financially ready, to have another baby because, of all of our medical bills and stuff, so.
In the spirit of so much generosity, Erica decided to immediately pay it forward.
Because all of the stuff that he got, I was able to give back to 7 families, and 4 of them were from domestic violence shelters.
One kind act from her co-workers set off a chain reaction of goodwill that's truly changed lives.
I don't even think thank you is enough, but that's all I could really say because I can't give them a hug. I can't, I can't see them.
For Uplifting Arizona, I'm Cameron Polam, ABC 15.
What a touching story. Well, wishing her the best of luck for her and her newborn baby. Now let's take it over to Sam for a look at our Labor Day weekend forecast. Sam, what do you have for us?
That's right, Labor Day weekend coming up, and right now at Seneca, Missouri, things are looking pretty nice at Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. The big question is, what's the weekend look like? Well, I'll have the answers to all that when we come back from the break. Stay with us. Well, we have a long weekend ahead with the Labor Day weekend just right around the corner, and it looks like it's going to be pretty nice, a little bit on the warm side, but that's kind of typical for our area. Right now this morning in Seneca, Missouri, to Indigo Sky Casino and Resort, things are looking pretty nice. Yesterday we made it up to 89 degrees after starting out at 63, which was above the normals on the high but below on the low, so it all evened out yesterday. We're still way behind for the rainfall for the year, almost 10 inches behind. And unfortunately, it's getting even worse as we go into the drought situation. Over this last month, it's been an interesting month. August, we started off really, really hot. Then for the next couple of weeks, we were below normal. And then, of course, the latter part of the month, we were way above normal once again. So it, again, kind of averaged out with 16 days above normal, 14 below, and only one normal day back on the 12th of August. All right, let's take a look at the temperature right now. It's 63 degrees with an east wind here in Joplin, and it feels like 63. That's because the dew point's way down there at 57, and it's that dry air that's making it feel at least comfortable out there. Pressure at 30.01 inches of mercury. Right now across the region, temperatures are pretty nice, generally in the low to mid 60s for the most part. There are a few upper 50s like Iola right now with 57 and 59 degrees up in Stockton for some of the coolest readings. Meanwhile, 67 degrees for our friends down in Bentonville. Radar is all clear right now, and unfortunately it's going to stay that way for quite some time in our forecast. We desperately need some rainfall, but right now we're looking at dew points in the 50s, so that's making it feel very comfortable. The 70s have been shoved all the way down to the south, and so on our dew point tracker, generally from pleasant to not too bad, and hopefully we can keep that going through the weekend as temperatures start to rise. We don't want it to get really oppressive like it was last week. And you can see rainfall chances over the next 36 hours are going to be pretty close to zero. We do have an upper level low off the coast of Texas, and that's going to impact our weather as we go into the weekend as it kind of drifts towards the north, and that's going to prevent this dome of high pressure from really becoming super strong. So we are going to see above normal temperatures, but at least with the northeasterly flow, that keeps the drier air moving in, and that keeps humidities down, and that makes it feel a little bit more comfortable out there and not so oppressive. So hopefully that will continue, but as we go into the long-term forecast, the humidity is going to start increasing as we go through time. Rainfall amounts are going to be on the light side as we go into Monday. There might be a few isolated showers and storms, especially off towards the east, but most areas are probably not going to receive much precipitation at all through the entire holiday weekend. Temperatures this afternoon are going to rise into the mid to upper 80s, again with easterly winds making it feel comfortable. And then as we go into tonight, we're going to see lows again in the 50s. So open up the windows, enjoy, with 55 in Lamar, same thing in Nevada. And then tomorrow afternoon, we're going to see temperatures rising again into the mid to upper 80s, maybe some lower 90s, especially in southeastern Kansas. And then as we go into Saturday morning, temperatures dropping down into the 50s up to the north, 60s elsewhere, a little bit more humid. And then as we go into Saturday, south winds and temperatures approaching 90 degrees across the area. And then Sunday morning, we'll see lows in the 60s for the most part. Let's take a look at the next 7 days. You can see a slow warming trend all the way through to Labor Day with an isolated storm. And then look at Tuesday, 96, 95 on Wednesday, and extending it further out It still stays pretty hot with temperatures in the mid-90s. So definitely you want to stay hydrated this weekend and watch out for the elderly as well as the pets outside. Caitlin?
All right, well, topping Health Watch this morning, young boys who smoke in their early teens could be doing damage to their future unborn children. Researchers looked at 875 people between the ages of 7 and 50 and the smoking behaviors of their fathers. In children with dads who smoked before the age of 15, they found key changes linked to asthma, obesity, and low lung function. Scientists say the findings show interventions for young people could help protect not just them, but also future generations. New data gathered using AI tools found that children's books in the U.S. continue to underrepresent ethnic minorities, which can influence how kids view themselves and the world around them. Between 1923 and 2019, Black and Latina characters were only depicted in about 6% of the most influential books, despite having population shares of 13.6 and 19%. The study, published in the Quarterly Journal of Economics, also found books with more diverse characters cost more on average than mainstream ones. And getting treated for snoring issues may help prevent other health issues. Sleep specialists in Iceland analyzed people with obstructive sleep apnea who did and did not use CAP machines to treat the condition. They found those who regularly used the device for 2 years were around 42% less likely to have nighttime heartburn and around 4 times less likely to get chronic bronchitis or have a bad morning cough. And that's a look at some of today's top health stories. We'll be right back after this break. Right now at 6:30, the Newton County Sheriff's Office has a new tool to protect the community.
And we're watching Idalia now moving off the coast of the Carolinas and also an upper level low on the Texas Gulf Coast and the impacts that might have on our forecast.
Plus, a new building and headquarters for the Alliance of Southwest Missouri.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning, 4 states, and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. The time now is 6:32 a.m. I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy.
And I'm meteorologist Sam Lane filling in for the not feeling so good Chris Warner this morning.
Yeah, I hope he gets better soon.
Yeah, me too.
But happy to have you here.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad to bring this forecast for the Labor Day weekend. It looks pretty dry right now. I know a lot of folks are going to be on the road traveling, maybe camping out, enjoying the nice weather. It's going to be on the warm side as we have some drier air in our area right now, but that's making it feel comfortable. At least we're going to see temperatures in the 90s, but with the dew points so low, it's not going to feel so bad, especially like what we had last week. Here's the remnants of Idalia now moving off the coast of the Carolinas, starting to interact with Franklin, or the remnants of Franklin as well. That's all moving away from the United States, so that's pretty good news. And then there's a look at the tower cam down in Seneca, Missouri, looking pretty nice. The UV index today is on the high side, 8 on the scale, so make sure that you're wearing the hat, sunglasses, sunscreen. Find the shade if you can. Limit your time outdoors if at all possible. Burn time today is going to be about 20 to 25 minutes, and as we go through the weekend, the UV index is going to be going up just a little bit. What's also going up are the allergies. I know a lot of folks will be suffering. A lot of that is ragweed, chenopod, and nettle. Today, 10.9 on the scale. Tomorrow, 11. So if you're sneezing quite a bit, that is probably why. And of course, I'll have a complete look at the Labor Day weekend forecast coming up in just a little bit. Kaylin?
All right, thank you. Well, the Newton County Sheriff's Office secures a brand new piece of equipment. The Lenco Bearcat tactical vehicle will be a tool for the Special Response Team or Tactical Team of Newton County. It replaces the 35-year-old vehicle and the office has been using. It'll be used mainly for drug search warrants, hostage situations, and felony arrest warrants. Its armor is rated to stop a .50 caliber round, and the sheriff says the new vehicle is there to service the community.
Just keep in mind it's there for their protection. This is for the citizens of Newton County. It's being used by my people, but we're using it to assist them and keep them safe.
The sheriff's office says they've had 6 situations in the last 6 weeks when the vehicle would have been used. And the Alliance of Southwest Missouri has a new space to call home. The new headquarters is at 1901 South Pearl Avenue in Joplin. It covers more than 26,000 square feet. In addition to the building, the property includes a park with playground equipment and a large paved parking lot, 2 features currently lacking from the Alliance's space at 1601 South Wall Avenue.
What I love too is it's not just the Alliance's building. You know, already God's Resort is wanting to utilize the facility, and there'll be other nonprofits that'll have access to this building because we're all about working together to better serve kids and families of Southwest Missouri. And so that's on the docket, is to see who needs access for their programming.
This property includes the former South Joplin Christian Church, which was built in 1916. And a beloved Joplin pediatrician is saying goodbye after 45 years. Dr. Raymond Grote has helped thousands of area children over the years. He is also known for his balloon skills. Children who were scared of doctor appointments were put to ease by watching Dr. Grote fold and twist balloons into animals.
And the little ones who were scared, they sit on mama's lap. When I was a kid, nobody wanted to go see the doctor because you're going to get shots in the rear end before you left. But a lot of kids actually try to find a reason to come because they want a balloon animal.
Yeah, a dog and a cat was kind of the regular.
Yes.
He would draw the face on it to make it look like whatever.
Exactly.
And if it popped, then he'd start all over. But boy, he was full of hot air. He could blow those things up.
Dr. Grote says he's excited to spend retirement gardening and spending more time with his grandkids. The Neosho County, Kansas Health Department held discussions on teen dating violence and the impact on mental health. They brought in award-winning speaker and best-selling author Ashley Bendixson to give a presentation on the topic. It was aimed at helping people identify warning signs of abuse and how to prevent it.
If they are going through a situation, I would strongly encourage them, to have someone that they can trust, that they can talk to. Definitely don't be silent about it, because otherwise it's going to continue. We need to be able to reach out. We need to know what to say and know when those red flags are present.
There will be another presentation this morning from 9:30 to noon at the Memorial Building in Chanute. And that's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. Labor Day weekend travel is expected to be busier than last year, and most vacationers will be driving. Plus, we have Sam with more weather coming up with the hot temperatures rising. You're watching the KOAM Morning News, and we'll be right back. But first, here's a live look from Pittsburgh State University, as today is their first game of the season. In Consumer Watch this morning, millions of Americans are leaving town for one last summer trip. Labor Day weekend travel is expected to be busier than last year, and most vacationers will be driving. Haley Ott tells us what they can expect at the pump.
Gas prices saw a small drop last week, but they're creeping up again in some places, with the national average about 8 cents a gallon more than a month ago, according to AAA. For many, that's too much.
It is really expensive. So it kind of sucks.
Despite the pain some are feeling at the pump, prices are practically a repeat from 2022.
Labor Day this year is likely to be virtually identical to what motors were paying last year.
Fuel analyst Patrick DeHaan says with summer coming to a close, prices should start dropping after Labor Day, barring any surprises.
I do think that the trend will remain downward for the potential of the next few weeks, especially as we get into mid and late September. That's when a combination of the transition back to cheaper winter gasoline and falling gasoline demand should pave the way for lower prices. And if things go well, if there are no surprises or curveballs, the national average could fall 35 to 50 cents a gallon by the end of the year.
That's good news for drivers struggling with the current cost of a fill-up.
It's expensive, but we can't really do much about it.
Experts say one thing you can do is shop around. Costco, Sam's Club, and other wholesale stores offer discounted gas, and apps like Gas Buddy, AAA, and Google Maps list prices at stations in your area. That can help you get to your holiday destination with a few more bucks in your pocket. Haley Ott, CBS News, New York.
Dodge muscle car owners, listen up. The Dodge Charger, RST, Hellcat, and Hemi have again topped the list of the most stolen vehicles for model years 2020 through 2022, according to Highway Loss Data Institute. The Infiniti Q50 was number 3, and 4 Kia models made the top 20 list following a viral social media trend targeting the brand. Ford is recalling nearly 42,000 Super Duty F-250 and F-350 pickups, all this year's model. Federal regulators say the recalled trucks have a potentially defective left rear axle shaft that can break, causing the pickups to lose power on the road or roll away when parked. Ford says notices will be mailed out to owners. And that's it for Consumer Watch. Now let's take it over to Sam Lane for a look at your forecast.
All right, thank you very much. It's a beautiful morning out there, a little bit on the cool side, but we'll take it this time of year. Indigo Sky Casino and Resort in Seneca, Missouri. Lots of blue skies this morning. Yesterday we made it up to 89 after starting out at 63, and by the time you average it all out, it was normal for this time of year. That's a nice change, especially in comparison to last week. And for the month of August, we're going to end up about 6/10 above normal, which is also a change, but unfortunately it's not really helped with the year rainfall. We're still about 10 inches behind so far for the year. And if we look over the month of August, it was kind of flip-flop. We started off on the cool, well, actually really warm, and then we went to a cool spell for a while. Then the last couple of weeks, it's been above normal, especially last week with temperatures over 100 degrees. And so if we look at the month or the summer so far, we had 2 days in June of 100 plus, then we had 5 in July, and then we had several in August. So we had about 2 weeks of 100 plus across the area. Right now, though, it's 63 degrees with an east wind, and it feels like 63. That's because the dew point's down there at 57, humidity at 81%, and the pressure is currently at 30.01 inches of mercury and is rising, and of course the visibility is 10 miles. Now, we are going to have more weather coming up in just a little bit, so you want to stick around for that. And now let's take a look at what's going to be happening this morning on CBS Mornings.
I'm Tony DeCopel. Coming up on CBS Mornings, our School Matters series continues with a look at how some high schools are actually preparing kids not only for college, but for careers. That's coming up on CBS Mornings.
All right, it's time for birthdays, and we're going to start it off with Whitley Harris, who today turns 6 out in Hepler, Kansas. Happy birthday, Whitley.
And we have Liza, who's turning 7 years old today. Happy birthday from your grandparents in Pittsburgh.
Happy 11th birthday to Daniel, and your message says, happy birthday, Dano Kablamo. Love Mom and Dad.
And Braylyn Rutherford in Iola, Kansas is turning 12 years old today. Happy birthday, Braylyn.
Taking it over to Pittsburgh, happy Sweet 16 to Connor Prophet.
And Cheyenne Zilifro from 24, she's 24 and is in Carthage, Missouri. Happy birthday from Mom, Dad, Sister, and Bubby. We sure love you.
Happy birthday to Ashley Epler over in Columbus. She is a school nurse at Webb City Middle School. Thank you, Ashley, for all you do. Happy birthday.
And Joe Cohn from Walker, Missouri, having a birthday today. Happy birthday to you, Joe.
Taking it to Webb City now, Randy Coble is celebrating his 66th birthday today. It says, happy birthday, Poppy, from Briar, Bowdoin, and Baylor.
And Donna Holleran turns 87 years old. Looking good there, Donna.
And we have twins over in Chanute. Happy 87th birthday to Evelyn Ellis and Wilma.
Linda and John Bolander celebrating their anniversary today in Parsons. Happy anniversary to you both.
And now we got an anniversary over in
Girard?
Yep. Yes, Girard it is. And it is their 49th anniversary. Congratulations, Joe and Gary Herman.
And Ed and Sharon Evans are celebrating their 55th today in Frontenac. Happy anniversary to you two.
And hey, we know this guy. It's John Dales, our sports director here at KOAM. Happy birthday to you. Can't wait to see you work your magic with all these football games coming up tonight and tomorrow. And you know what to do. If you want to submit and give a shout out to your loved ones for their birthday or anniversary, simply just submit to us at birthdays@koamnewsnow.com.
All right now, speaking of those football games, it's going to be a comfortable evening out there for most of the players and the spectators with low dew points. Right now, the dew point is 57, and when you see dew points in that range, it's very comfortable out there, even though you start to see temperatures in the upper 80s and 90s. Right now, we're 63 degrees with an east wind at 3, and so we have a humidity of 81%. And across the area, we're looking at pretty pleasant temperatures, 58 in Iola, 59 in Stockton, 61 in Nevada. A little bit warmer down to the south in Oklahoma, where it's 65 in Bonita and 67 degrees, the warm spot down in Bentonville. Radar is all clear right now across our area, and it's expected to stay that way for several days as the drought just continues. Here's a look at those dew points, as I mentioned, in the mid-50s, so it's very comfortable. Iola right now, double nickel. Same thing in Lamar, 57 in Neosho and 66 degrees down in Veneta, so a little bit more humid down on the Oklahoma side. And if you look at the dew point tracker, most of us are in the pleasant range to not too bad out there, and it looks like that's going to continue through the weekend as well with easterly winds. Rainfall amounts are going to be very little. Rainfall chances are going to be very low for at least the next 36 hours as we have a ridge of high pressure starting to build back into our area as we go through the weekend. And it's this dome of high pressure that caused all the heat and humidity last week. But the good news is this ridge moves up to the north. It's going to be counteracted by this low over the Gulf Coast, and that's going to keep our winds out of the northeast and east. And that's a dry direction for us as far as humidity levels, and that's what's going to make it feel comfortable, even though we're going to see temperatures rising above normal, and maybe a few showers as we go into Monday as this upper level low moves back towards the west, bringing up just a tad bit moisture in our area. In fact, looking at the rainfall amounts, the best chance of that is going to be off towards the east, but even off to the east, amounts are expected to be light with only isolated showers possible. No rain out for sure as we go into the Labor Day weekend. And down in southeastern Kansas and northeast Oklahoma, most places are going to remain dry all weekend long. Temperatures this afternoon are going to warm into the mid to upper 80s, especially in southeastern Kansas, approaching 90. And then as we go into Friday afternoon, we're going to see, or Friday morning, we're going to see lows once again in the 50s. So very comfortable out there. And then Friday afternoon, we'll see highs again rising into the upper 80s to around 90 degrees. And then on Saturday, we're going to see temperatures starting off in the 60s. And then in the afternoon, warming up close to 90 degrees. Of course, we'll have more coming up in just a little bit. Coming up when the KO Morning News continues. You want to switch over to Fox 14. It's a rescue you don't see every day, and why firefighters saved a pregnant donkey after it got trapped in a pond. We'll be right back.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. A jury convicts a man on charges related to his escape from custody in Newton County, Missouri. Michael Ray Durson had been held on a warrant out of Louisiana. Authorities say during his stay at a hospital in Newton County in September of 2022, Durson disarmed the lone jail staffer, used the jailer's own taser to stun the jailer, and subsequently fled the scene. Durson was later found after a 10-day manhunt. He's now found guilty on assault in the first degree, armed criminal action, and disarming a police officer. He'll be sentenced on October 4th. And a convicted rapist who authorities say used a jet ski during an escape from an Arkansas prison has been arrested in West Virginia. The U.S. Marshals Service says Samuel Hartman was taken into custody yesterday, along with his wife, his mother, and his mother's boyfriend at a Lewisburg hotel. Authorities say the women aiding Hartman's escape in August 2022. Hartman was on a work detail when a pickup truck approached and he ran to the vehicle. Hartman and the women later jumped on jet skis and apparently crossed the Mississippi River. Hartman had been sentenced to life in prison in 2013 for a rape conviction out of Franklin County, Arkansas. And a Missouri Republican wants exceptions to the state's near-total abortion ban. Jamie Corley of St. Louis filed constitutional amendments to allow abortions in cases of rape, incest, and fatal fetal abnormalities. Another option would allow abortions until fetal viability, though it's unclear when a fetus would be considered viable under the proposal. Currently, Missouri bans almost all abortions. The only exception is for medical. And a judge orders Kansas authorities to destroy all the electronic copies they made of a small newspaper's files when police raided its office this month. The order comes nearly 2 weeks after computers and cell phones seized in the search were returned. It's still not clear what action local authorities might take in response to the much criticized August 11th raids of the Marion County Records Office and the homes of its publishers and a city council member. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
All right, let's take a look at the 7-day forecast. It's going to be nice today with a high of 88 degrees. A little bit warmer tomorrow with a high of 89, but at least dew points will be low, and that's going to make it feel comfortable out there. Then as we go into the weekend, we're going to start seeing hot conditions move back in with a pop-up thunderstorm possible on Sunday, as well as Labor Day for your Labor Day weekend. And then temperatures really start to get steamy and warm again as we head into the early part of next week. And that continues all week long until the following weekend, with temperatures above normal with highs in the mid-90s. And hopefully we won't see any more 100 degrees, as this time of year actually the record for the latest 100 degree reading in Joplin is September the 24th. But hopefully, Caitlin, we won't see anything like that. Instead, we'll see temperatures in the 90s and lower dew points, making it at least feel comfortable out there. But we are going to be above normal for quite some time.
Absolutely. Well, that'll wrap it up for now. We'll see you on Fox 14.